Yes, well, I try and keep it relatively simple because some of this stuff gets quite technical even for me. But in general, if you've got massive sulfide deposits, then current, if you can imagine an electrical current passing across this deposit, because this is metallic type minerals, the current actually goes quicker across the molecules of sulfides than it will, say, in a barren rock alongside. So that if you can measure this particular charge at the surface using instrumentation, then sometimes you can pick out massive sulfide deposits by just using geophysics at the surface. And that's what we've done here, is that we believe that this anomaly is probably related to some form of mineralisation. Now, of course, I'd have to throw in the cautionary statements here, because obviously barren pyrite or iron sulfide can give you a similar type response. And there are also other rock types that could do it. Carbonaceous shales are notorious for giving a response that you can see on that particular slide. But we know that there's no carbonaceous shales in this area. We only know of mineralisation that's associated with the Lundin work. So we just give it a higher probability that we've got a much better chance of finding something here rather than something that's barren, something that's worth something to us, I should say.
Right. Yeah. The Lundin, again, just the Lundin discovery, or the commercial values, are north or south again?
They're immediately to the south, in the white area of that slide, immediately to the south of it, yes.
Right. Now, you also got another one that's very interesting to you, and that is the Tomtebo, which is
that's right. So,
slide 11.
Yes, so right. I'm saying it's just interesting that as you develop these prospects, you find more and more. And there was an old pit called Tomtebo that was mined historically. This was more modern mining, actually. It wasn't mined by fire, this particular one. And we ran an airborne EM survey over the top of it, following it up with IP. And once again, we found another anomaly that's in the right geology for this particular pit. Once again, it's just another drill target. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. We've been able to get to the point of time now where we have some very good drill targets, and we have to do that as the next phase of if you like, adding shareholder value to Tumi shareholders.
Yeah, and the airborne, was done by helicopter, right? And how does that work? Wasn't there a great big...
Yes, it's a very large 30-metre diameter loop that hangs under a helicopter. Same principle. It generates a current that goes down into the ground, and they can measure it. The thing about a helicopter, of course, is you can cover much larger terrain, much larger areas than you can on the ground, where you're walking it foot by foot. And so we would do 100-metre line spacing and just take the helicopter backwards and forwards across your entire lease area. Yeah. And it can be done within one day. So it's done very quickly. Of course, if you find an anomaly, then you still have to get on the ground and try and figure out what caused it. But that's part of the business that we work in.
And I was there with Christina. Yes. And she got so excited by looking at some of the rocks. Look at this and look at that. And David, I looked at it and said, well, nice rock, But she was totally excited about what she was finding. Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's a pretty brief summary of the advanced exploration that Tumi's been doing over the last few years.
Yeah. Now let me ask you. One of the things is that I haven't spoken about all day, and that I like your opinion on, and that's the uses of silver. Because everybody thinks that silver basically is only that much. But tell us about the uses of silver.
Yes, well, I think most viewers today would understand that there are two things that stand out in silver. There's two things, and one is it's in terms of a metal I'm talking about now. One is it's the world's best conductor of electricity, so that silver is used, say, in every light switch that we turn on and off. You'll find it in every microwave, computer, etc. So as a commodity, it's used continuously in that area. So that's one very important aspect of silver. The other one, of course, is that it's the world's best reflector of light. In terms of its reflectance ability. And so I suppose, unfortunately, I have to look at myself every morning to shave in the mirror, but of course it's coated with silver at the back. That's what reflects the light back. And similarly today, to give you another example of it, if you look at new high-rise buildings that are being built, you'll get that sort of reflective look as you're looking at the glass up in these things. Yeah. Well, of course, they're building silver into the glass itself because it reflects the heat off the exterior of the building. In other words, it's improving the air conditioning costs. Okay, so they're the two main things that we're aware of. Most people are aware of anyway.
Medical?
But the most important one, which most people don't understand or have never heard of, is that silver is also one of the world's best bacteria killers. Now that will come as a real surprise, I'm sure, to many people. And It's been researched over the last few years, and now it's being used in all sorts of medical applications. And I find that the most interesting commodity for silver, or property of silver for the future. I'll give you an example. To enable you to use it, they turn silver into small atom-sized particles and put it into solution. It's called colloidal silver, for those who know about it, colloidal silver. And if you positively charge that silver ion, proper laboratories in the US are capable of doing this, then it becomes very reactive against bacteria. And I think that a lot of people would probably already have come across silver sulfadiazine, which is the material that they use on most burns victims in hospitals, and they use that because it's a bacteria killer. I mean, I think burns victims generally tend to suffer more from infection than the actual burn itself, so that's one of the
yeah, they've got blankets apparently, yes, with silver thread in them.
And certainly I can use, for example, a very a common usage for me with anybody that cuts themselves is if you put some of this colloidal silver on a band-aid and stick it over the cut, it will never infect and it heals instantly. It's quite unbelievable.
Well, you don't even have to do that anymore. No. They sell band-aids.
Now, that's right. Now they sell them with silver strips in them already, so you can use them. So I think in the long term that the medical applications of silver are going to be used more and more and more, and it will become much more widespread. You know, we can probably dream about the days that you could swab hospitals with colloidal silver, and superbugs will be a thing of the past. I mean, it's a possible.
Yeah, and we've got socks now that have silver thread in them for odor eaters.
Yes.
The UK Army was supplied with skivvies, you know, with silver thread in them, because they were in them maybe for 3-4 days in a row in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and you know, it's antifungal.
It's antifungal, yes,
yeah.
and remember that they didn't quite understand it for a long period of time, while the very early American explorers used to throw a silver coin in their barrels of water as they, remember, as they went across from one side of the country to the other, until they suddenly realised, of course, the silver coin was killing the bacteria in the barrels, so that the water remained very, very pure. And so yes, there's a lot of history
unbelievable
coming out. Yeah, so maybe Nick, instead of the old saying that you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth for wealth, it might be the fact that it's health instead.
It was a hell. Yeah, no, it's that's a good point. Absolutely,
good point.
That's a good point.
Very good point. That yes.
So David, how should we finish up here? I mean, I believe that Tumi is one of those companies that is high risk, but also high reward. There's tremendous leverage there. You, in your lifetime, have made darn good money with companies that you started off with a low price. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's of interest.
Well, I think you know, I think we have to say, and I really appreciated the few words you said very early this morning at 9 a.m. in your introduction, is that we are in the area of very high risk, high reward, and so that I don't believe anybody should invest 100% of their assets into companies like Tumi, because there's a very, very high risk associated with that. But for those juniors that do succeed in finding things, then the factor that is created in terms of your stock price, you know, or shareholder wealth, is enormous. And I think we've seen it. I won't talk necessarily about my experiences, but those, for example, that were in the discovery of Voisey's Bay here in Canada quite a few years ago. I mean, we can talk about the EMA/Aqualine Navidad discovery recently down in Argentina. Perhaps you can come up with quite a few more, I'm sure. But when the juniors discover those big deposits, then the share prices can often be from cents